Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is inmate empowerment, and we're fortunate to have with us this morning to talk about the processes that are used to empower inmates, Reverend Pastor KWalker. Pastor Walker is the president of the New Beginnings organization, which is one of the organizations located in the Riverbend Maximum Security Facility. And of course, Reverend Walker, let me welcome you to the show this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Haney. It's my pleasure to be here once again.
And of course, to talk about some of the things that we've talked about before. But at this time, I think, Pastor Walker, to get sort of a different perspective in terms of what you consider to be the ability of New Beginnings organization to empower inmates. And we want to talk about that this morning. But before we get into that, Pastor Walker, let's have you to give us some information about your background, your education, and some of the things that were important that eventually led you to the presidency of the New Beginnings organization, and then we'll talk about inmate empowerment.
Okay, Dr. Haney, well, I was born here in Nashville, and I attended the public schools here in Nashville up until a time when I became one of those people that just didn't want to follow along with the system and with the rules and stuff like that. I ended up going into the Navy. After the Navy, I got out, went ahead and got my GED and spent a little time in college at Tennessee State University. I was majored in clothing and textiles at the time. I wanted to become a fashion designer, but of course I got caught up, got involved with the drug scene and wayward living, and that got me caught up. So in terms of educational background, I never completed my college studies, what have you, but I learned a whole lot from the streets and just living life on its terms. So that's where I am with that.
Now, this new organization, the New Beginners organization, certainly is not a new organization in a real sense, because I think we've had an opportunity to highlight that organization before. But give our audience some information in reference to what you're trying to accomplish and how you became involved in a real sense in the New Beginnings organization. And Pastor Walker, you also might remind our audience that you're not an inmate at the Riverbend Maximum Security, but you do work very, very closely with inmates there.
Absolutely. Now, it had been a point in my life that I was an inmate in the Tennessee Department of Corrections back from 1977 up until 1981, and doing a little bit of time after that in other institutions. But right now, I'm not currently an inmate. New Beginnings organization is an organization that was founded within the Riverbend Maximum Security Prison. We operate on what we call the FUBU concept, for us, by us. And it was founded in July of 2000. That's when it was legally chartered, in July of 2000 in the state of Tennessee. The organization existed before then as an inmate organization within the prison, because inmates at that time had a need to develop programs that would essentially help them, to empower them to be better people in life. So therefore they formed the New Beginnings organization. I went out in October of 1999 and I spoke at the organization as a result of working with another inmate that was incarcerated in the system at the time. And when I went in there and I saw that what they were doing was very important in terms of themselves and society as a whole. So what I did, I locked into it. You know, God just kind of placed me there. He placed me there, and I've been laboring with them. And since that time, as I said previously, we became a chartered organization in the state of Tennessee. We are a not-for-profit 501(c) organization also, and we're looking to do some great things in terms of impacting the current recidivism rates and doing something to empower men while they're in there and deter them from coming back to prison once they're released from prison.
You know, Pastor Walker, I think when you talk about the New Beginnings organization, many people might not recognize that this is really a new approach to trying to help people who have been incarcerated. What are some of the things that you're doing now that is really not traditional in terms of dealing with inmates?
Well, you're exactly right, Dr. Haney. It is a new approach, because most programs and there are limited programs in the prison system, I need to add that, but the majority of the programs that are in existence are programs that work from the outside in. What I'm saying is somebody on the outside develops a program, brings it into the institution, and then see if they can get inmates to participate in, pretty much. Our program is developed from the inside. It works from the inside out, in the sense that it was indeed developed in the institution by inmates, because inmates know what they're needing. You know, at a time before they got incarcerated, many of them didn't know. But in looking over their lives and analyzing and studying themselves and their behaviors and behaviors of people around them, pretty much know what's needed to help empower the individual. So our program is unique in that particular sense, because you can't equal the value of one inmate related to, absolutely, absolutely. So that's what makes NBO unique in itself, and the programs that we have developed is directly developed to address some of those needs, because as criminals, we can practice some very bizarre behaviors, and our thinking processes may be and it is a lot different from the thought processes of what you would quote say normal people, if you want to put it that term.
In other words, you're attempting to really change the thought patterns or the thought processes of the folks who are incarcerated, to have them to see from a different perspective. Is that what we're doing? What you're trying to do? That's
exactly what we're doing. As a matter of fact, we've developed a curriculum called Introduction to Resolving Errors in Thinking. And through our curriculum, that's what we deal with. We start off with vision, looking back in the past, looking at your current state of existence, and looking toward the future, where you're going in terms of setting goals and chartering a course for your future. So we're looking at those different patterns of behaviors during those different periods of time, and trying to develop a sense of who we are, where we're going, and of course looking at from a perspective of where we have been in our life, and looking at the decisions that we've made and how we arrived at the point that we arrived based on the decision that we've made in our lives. So we definitely are dealing with resolving errors in thinking in the prison system and outside of the system also.
You know, when you talk about young people, and specifically, certainly we know all inmates are not young people, but there's an inordinate number of young people there. What are some of the processes when you talk about changing their way of thinking? I mean, how do they generally react to that, and how have they reacted to what you're doing?
The ones that participate in our program are there because they want to better themselves.